The Youth Parliament will now consider the fifth and last motion of the day relating to transport and young people, as printed on the order paper. To move the motion, I call Mr. Amarvir Singh Bal. Amarvir.
Here we sit, 300 elected representatives within the most historically influential House in the modern era, and still the problem of transportation remains. Should reduced public transport for young people be slashed or saved from the coalition spending cuts? Mr. Speaker, I ask you this. Why do my friends in London from the age of 16 to 19 have free public transport, whilst my brothers in the West Midlands do not? Mr. Speaker, why do young people in Scotland have a third of fares, whilst my sisters in the South West pay outrageous adult fees? At the end of the day, young people get an education, then a job, and thus benefiting the economy. But what happens if a fellow young person is struggling for that transport to education? At the end of the day, that fellow young person does not get a job as a result. At the end of the day, it does not benefit our economy. A lady within my constituency had asked me that young people should pay like everyone else. Why are they any different? Well, it is because young people have a lower minimum wage. It is because young people, by law, must work shorter hours. That is why we need cheaper transport. Young people are studying in full-time education to be leaders of this nation. That's why we need cheaper transportation. The lady, being the age of 65 or thereabouts, has the freedom of owning a car, the safety net of her life savings, plus she is entitled to free, not subsidised, but free public transport. My fellow members of Youth Parliament, we are in a recession and we are realistic. We do not want free public transport, but what we do need is subsidised fares for all those in full-time education and for those who use sporting leisure facilities. Cheaper transport will enhance the prospect of all young people, such as those of potential athletes who go to the local track to break records, or potential scientists who go to medical school to cure cancers, or potential lawyers who go to college to break the chains of injustice. That is why we need cheaper transport. Within my constituency, it is £3.60 to get to the nearest college and back. There is 40 weeks of schooling. You mathematicians can work out that the receipts take £726. £726 wasted. £726 that could have been spent on your books and school equipment. £726 on the back pocket of the bus company. That is why we need cheaper transport. If we, together on this Friday afternoon, fight and achieve this simple objective of subsidising public transport for all young people, we surely have a better chance to increase education levels, job opportunities, and life chances. Let this campaign be a stepping stone for others, and let this campaign show others what the United Kingdom Youth Parliament are capable of. Or do we want that little girl from the corner of Northern Ireland, to that little boy from the hills of the Yorkshire moors, to be able to pay their transport fares comfortably and easily so they may carry on to be that future nurse or politician that they had forever dreamt to be? Now, with me now, I want 10 million of us and 300 of you to declare our time for cheaper transport has come, a new day has begun, and just like the motto of Stoke-on-Trent, Vis unita fortior, united strength is stronger.
Thank you for that excellent contribution. To oppose the motion, I call Miss Whitney May.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To put it simply, we have a massive debt hanging over us, a grand total of £43 billion a year. In this current situation, we cannot afford for luxuries. It is a time to focus on our keystone services, the NHS to cure our sick, the forces to keep us safe, and the schools to educate our young. In an ideal world, I would agree that concession cards for young people would benefit all of us. But realistically, with a total debt reaching £43 billion, something has to give. But this cannot be our NHS that ensures the health of all of the UK. or our research into development of treatments for illnesses such as cancers that affect 1 in 3 of us. Hearts and souls of families are ripped out by these terrible diseases. But with enough funding for research, enough money for life-saving equipment, and enough money for life-saving operations, more of these families could avoid the heartache of losing a loved one. It is more important to ensure the UK's health is looked after. Neither can it be our forces that fight to keep our streets safe, or the armed forces that protect us, and by doing so risk their lives every day. It is much more important to make sure that these have sufficient equipment to make sure that they can keep themselves safe. But neither can it be our education system that is key to ensuring our future for our young people. On Wednesday, the Chancellor himself said, "We wanted to see if it was possible, even when spending was being cut, to find resources for our schools. It has meant that other departments have taken bigger cuts, but I believe that it is the right choice for our country's future. These young people are our teachers, our lawyers and our doctors. It is much more important that they have the education that is sufficient and that our future is safe." I understand that transport is an incredibly important issue for young people, but so are the NHS, the forces and our education system. These are far greater causes and affect the whole of the UK. Government spending should focus much more on these and on concessionary fares for public transport. It is estimated that £1.4 billion is needed for concessionary travel. £1.4 billion, with the current £43 billion a year in debt. Is this really feasible? In closing, I ask you this. Would you rather a stable education system, a safe place to live, and a functioning health service, or a third of your bus fare to see the latest film at the cinema? I know what I would rather have. Thank you.
Thank you. A lot of people still standing.